Hi everyone, Donna here. I'm the owner at Bookkeeping Made Simple. I have been working remotely for 15 years. And so the switch from working in an office to working from home, I didn't actually even have to make. I found it very easy. This was what I had planned for way back, more years than I really care to admit to, when I first saw a modem, and it was the kind that you put that phone handset on top of. It wasn't built in, it wasn't Wi-Fi. You actually had to dial up, you had to put your phone on top of the modem. And when I first saw that, I realized that women, particularly, because this was in the middle of the huge women's movement, first wave, second wave feminism, women were going to be able to have a career, work from their homes, and still be available for their kids. And unfortunately, it's only been in the last few years that that's really become a reality. So I have seen so many commercials that have featured people working from home in the worst possible ways. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. There are some pros and cons. One of the pros is, and again, you know, some people might go, well, Donna, you're pretty late to the party. We've all been working from home for a year. But what kind of habits are you forming? So let's talk a little bit about what working from home, in my opinion, having done this for many years, should look like. And the short answer is, I think it should look very similar to working in an office. So let me explain what I mean. I have seen banking commercials where they've literally shown the husband, the wife, and toddlers. The husband and the wife are both working in the same room. The toddlers are running around the room. And sometimes that can't be avoided. When I started working from home, my kids were toddlers. So I get it, totally. But we're talking here about best practices, okay? These things that are being glorified on TV is not the best practice. So much work, if you are as an information worker, unless you are on a phone call like this, or a meeting like this where there's audio and visual, many times you can do those calls. Well, a lot of information workers actually don't need to be on the phone. So my advice is to schedule your day as if you were in the office. Okay, and that means calendar blocking. So put your calendar, when are the kids going to be home? You need to look at that. Maybe just take a big whiteboard and start writing down, the kids come home from school early on these days, and they're, especially if they're little, or if you need to do some running around with them, and that's coming back, thank goodness. These are times when I need to be with my kids. These are times when I need to be with my family. These are times when I'm going to be out of the house. Put that on the calendar. Put all of your external appointments on the calendar. Do you have doctor's appointments that are coming up? Do you have appointments with your kids that are coming up? Put that on the calendar. First thing. The second thing you want to do is you want to determine when you're going to have quiet time to work. I am really lucky. I live in a fairly inexpensive part of the world, so I have a room in my home. It's a spare bedroom where I can go in and I can shut the door. And what that means is when I'm done with my workday, I can go out and shut the door, and that kind of creates a barrier between work and personal. And you will hear me talk about that a lot because I do not do well switching back and forth. I discovered this years ago. When I am working, I'm in work mode. That's all I'm thinking about. I am worried about work. I'm worried about that's what's on my mind. I'm not thinking about any of the billion other things I need to do, except for, and I will come to this, except for when I take my mini breaks. So I have a 9-to-5 workday. Okay, you may need to tweak that. You may decide, you may figure out that You work better earlier in the morning when your kids are, off to school. If they leave the house at 7:30 and they go to school at that time and you want to just work until they get home from school, block that out as your work time. Really kind of set that aside. During these hours, I cannot be disturbed. I do actually quite a bit of grocery delivery, and it's not because I'm scared of the virus, but because I find it very convenient. By the end of the day, we're both so exhausted that just going to the store is just one more thing on a long list of things to do. So a lot of times I'll have groceries delivered, and I will arrange for them to be delivered right at the end of my workday, and then I will put in, don't ring the doorbell, okay? Because I can't be disturbed. I can't flip from being a domestic engineer to being the CEO of a company just like that. I don't do that very well. I have a hard time switching. Except in certain circumstances. But block out your work time, and block out time where you just cannot be disturbed. Block out the times when you're available to take calls, to have meetings, to be on, to be on your Zoom calls and everything else. Block those times out. A lot of businesses do try to continue to run their businesses as if everything was in the office, and they also will need to be more flexible. I would suggest to them, do your meetings very short. Actually, if it can't be done in, my meetings with my bookkeepers are 5 to 10 minutes long. Either we're going over a specific problem that they may have had come up, or it's just a really quick check-in. Okay, it's just, let's go over your clients. Let's make sure everything is going well. What do you need help with? How can I be of assistance to you? Do you feel like you need any training in certain areas? We go over that. And most weeks, it's about 15 minutes at the most. That's really all the time I even put on my calendar for that. Once a month, we have a longer training where we go more in depth. We want to make sure that I have reviewed their clients. I've made sure that everything is exactly the way I want it to be done. So, then I'll start reviewing some things and tweak their training, because the girls that I hire are pretty amazing. I'll tweak their training and say, I want you to do this instead of this. And that gives me, that's about a 30-minute phone call. I don't really spend a lot of time on the phone. And I will work around their schedules. So I will ask them, what time works best for you? When are your kids at school? I really want to try to hit them when their kids are at school, but not at a time that's really their peak work time. And what I mean by that is because of circadian rhythms and just kind of the way humans are wired. A lot of people are at their best early in the morning. I'm not one of them, by the way. I like to do these videos first thing in the morning because my makeup's fresh and haven't rubbed half of it off yet, and I feel like this is when I look the best. Although you will see me with in videos sometimes with my nose all red because I rubbed all this off, and maybe allergies have come up. But I try to kind of plan things around, if it's a video meeting, when does my makeup look the best? And I try to, around my energy levels. I almost tend to be, my energy kind of flags in the morning, but then it flags again towards the end of the day. So I try to be aware of those energy levels, and I work around them so that I am working most deeply when I have the most energy. I don't want that time to be taken up with meetings unless there's a specific reason. I don't want that to be taken up with just busy work. I want that to be taken up with either client work or working on my business. Okay, so some of the things that nobody in my company can do but me. So I try to be very aware of those things. So you want to do the same thing. You want to kind of see if you're a morning person and you are up at 6 o'clock and raring to go, that is a really good time to schedule some deep work. Don't answer emails first thing in the morning, by the way. I check them at 5 o'clock at night before I shut up, close down for the night. And then I've taken all my emails off of my phone. I've turned off all of my notifications on my phone because I need that time to, when I'm at work, I want to be 100% at work. When I'm working on one client's taxes, I don't want to be worried about 6 other clients. And I have found that when I allow my clients to drive my day, I can't get anything done. Okay. So find out what works for you. Okay. That you will hear me talk a lot about, there's times when I just have to shut everybody off because I have got to get certain work done. And that is because I value my clients. And I know that if I am constantly reacting basically to phone calls and to emails, and those things are important, but I have days when I can do that. It's usually towards the end of the week. And I have days where I have got to hunker down and get a lot of work done because I only have so many hours in a day. You have 1,140 minutes a day. And a lot of that is already taken. So I really want to hunker down and I want to make sure that I'm getting everything done that I've committed to do. I want to make sure I'm doing the things that are going to pay off in time for me later. And I will talk a little bit that involves training employees. That pays off in the end. And I want to make sure that the big one is I want to make sure that I get everything done that I've committed to do. And when I have clients, and I do quite a bit, they are anxious, so they are trying to make me anxious. I find if I'm reactive to that instead of being proactive about it and really kind of taking control of the situation, then really nothing gets done. Then really, truly, I am just flustered and I find it difficult to focus. When I'm the one saying, okay, Mr. Client, I understand where you're coming from. This is the day we committed to having this done, and we will not have it done sooner. We can work behind the scenes to make sure things are done by a certain time, but I have to be the one to say, no, this is not the day that I'm working on your stuff. I have other things I've committed to do today. And that is kind of a problem when you have this kind of profession where you do have a lot of anxious people, but it has to be done by appointment. It really, truly does. I have a certain amount of time that I can work. Even my bookkeepers have a certain amount of time that they can work. And I have to be able to say, this is the time I've set aside for you. Outside of that time, I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm not going to jump in and start doing your work right now because you're pressuring me to. I have to do it in the order that I have lined it up. The reason for that, again, is that I have to be the driver of my day. I have to be the one who decides what gets done today and in what order. So, and I will look at my calendar and I'll say, okay, I have 3 sales calls tomorrow, and I have a meeting outside of the home tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment. So tomorrow is going to be a day when I'm going to be a little bit more reactive. But I also, the mornings I will have for client work, and then the afternoon, I actually don't want to be on the phone because of other appointments that I have. I already have a meeting scheduled. I have 2 or 3 meetings scheduled, actually. So I have to be the one that's saying, this is when I'm available, and I can't take calls other than at those times. I can't react, in other words. I have to be proactive about it. And I totally understand. I understand clients, emailing, asking questions, and I want to be responsive to those. But at the same time, again, I have to be the one who's in charge of what my calendar looks like. So that's one of the things you really want to do. You want to be the driver of your day as far as you're able. You want to be the one that says, this is the project that I'm working on today, and this is where I'm at, and this is what gets done, and this is what I want to have done at the end of the day. And then if you already know that, if you're sitting down and you already have, you know where to start, you know where to end, then you feel more in control. So that's the first thing. You have to be, just like you would be in an office, you have to be very much in control of your day. The second thing is, well, the first thing is to have a space where you can, enjoy the quiet. And then get dressed. This is where a lot of these, like the banking commercials, just drive me crazy. One showed a guy, he was very well dressed and he had his suit jacket on with his pocket hanky in it, looked very, very nice. And then they brought the camera down under the table and he's in his pajamas. And I was like, you know what that does to your mind? That actually tells your brain, I don't know whether I'm at work or not. Get dressed, get up like you normally would, take a shower, wash your hair, put makeup on. If you're a makeup person, if you're not a makeup person, don't. Guys, shave, just groom yourself as if you're going to the office. And then get dressed all the way to shoes. The reason for that is that it subconsciously tells your mind, I am at work. You might even want to go so far, and I've heard of this. I think this is a brilliant idea. Get up, get your, put on your running gear, your workout clothes, go for a walk. That is your commute. And then when you're done, even if all you do is walk around the block, maybe you go ahead and you get dressed, put your hair, makeup, you shave, whatever it is that you do in the morning, and then you go walk around the block, or you walk down the street and back, because that sets your mind to, I am going to work. Now, a lot of us have had commutes where that was the time when we kind of started thinking about, okay, now I'm going to go to work. I have never had that problem. I walk across 3 feet of shag carpeting and I sit down at my desk, and as soon as I sit here, I have to work on something. I'm not here to browse Facebook. I'm here to do something or to learn something. And so that is my mindset. If I want to play on the computer, I will take my laptop and go into the other room. Okay, that's my play time. But if I'm sitting at my desk, this is work time. So that is often very helpful, and it can be helpful at the end of the day. At 5 o'clock, I clock out and I will go for a walk right then. Sneakers, I will put jeans on, or instead of a skirt, if I have decided to wear a skirt that day, and put sneakers on, and I will go for a walk, and that is my evening workout. And then when I come back, I am done with work for the day. It is that mind shift thing, that's my commute home. In the morning, I'm usually, I'm listening to a podcast, trying to get ready for work. In the evening, I'm listening to music, trying to get ready for home. And the reason for that is that when it's similar to the idea of getting dressed, get dressed all the way to shoes. I'm even wearing heels. The reason for that is that you are telling your brain, this is work time. This is not messing around time. And then when you do that, you're more able to focus. Okay. We're used to going into an office and being able to focus there. Usually, hopefully you don't have an open office plan, which is the worst idea in the history of office plans. Hopefully you have I have worked in an open office. It sucked so bad. And it wasn't even a very big office, but I could not think. I had to take headphones in, and I still do. I will still wear headphones when I'm trying to focus. I had to, actually take in, this was way back in the days, long before I want to admit, but I would bring in music and headphones and just focus and crank through so much work that my colleagues were then freaking out. You're making the rest of us look bad. And I was like, no, you guys just look bad. It's not me. I'm just making snap decisions, quick, quick, quick. And that was it as the, the most junior clerk in the office back in the day. But, do what you have to do to focus, but really get into the mindset that when I step into my workspace, whatever that is my work time. You should have some sort of a desk. Yeah, it might be the kitchen table, but what do you have to do to turn the kitchen table into your workspace for the remainder of the day? If you're working with your spouse, he does sales. So he spends a lot of time on the phone and he is not quiet, which is fine. I have learned that I have to be in another room. I have to have the door shut. I have to, there's been times when I've thought about getting a hotel room for the day because I need quiet because I'm an accountant. And he needs less quiet because he's on the phone. He's talking. And so if I shut the door to my office, that kind of tells him, no, this is not a good time to come in. This is a time when I need to, focus on quieter work. So set those expectations with your spouse if you're working with them. Like I said, he knows if my door's shut, I'm doing a video or I'm on a Zoom call or I'm on the phone, I need to focus. He's a pacer. And so if the door is open, he can come in here all he wants. He can come in and pace and go out and it's fine. I don't care. But if I have the door shut, then he knows that it's for a reason. Likewise, with the kids are smart, kids are smart. If you sit them down and you tell them, mommy has to work, mommy's going to be on a phone call, and you're communicating with them, your mileage may vary. You may have a child who is special needs who doesn't understand this, but it always worked for me. If I sat them down and said, I need you to be quiet for the next 30 minutes because I'm going to be on a conference call, and as soon as I'm done, I will get you a treat if you've been quiet. The two parts to that is a specific length of time, okay? I need you to sit down. Can you just watch this show, just one episode of this show? Can you sit down and watch 2 episodes of Paw Patrol? And then I will get you a treat because mommy has to be on a phone call and I have to have it really quiet or my boss will get mad. If you explain it to them, in my experience, as a mother of 5 and an oldest of 8, then they will do what you ask. But you have to have a beginning and ending time. It can't be, I'm going to be on the phone all day, every day. Kids don't understand that. If you schedule your times and you cannot be disturbed for times when the kids are in school or you have a mother's helper in or you can have someone else help you with your kids, whether that means you're switching off with your spouse, that helps immensely. I was very fortunate that my kids are and always have been just really good-natured. I didn't have any struggle with them, but it's a girl and then a boy, so that may have had something to do with it. I was able to do all the things that I needed to do, and I would tell them very specifically, this is the beginning time of my call, this is the end time of my call. When I'm done, then I'm done for the day and we can go get something to eat, whatever it is that they like. So kind of take control of, if you can. Now, like I said, your mileage may vary. I was lucky. I had great kids, at least certainly in this area. And to be fair, I'm biased. But this is what I have found always works for me. If you give them a why and you give them a begin time, you give them an end time and something to do in the middle, and you give them those goalposts and don't move them, it helps. Okay, I'm not saying it's the be all end all, but it does help. And then build breaks into your day. Because everybody's remote these days, I have noticed that there's a lot of expectation to be on call, on the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't do that. If you're an employer, don't ask that of your team. It burns them out so bad. Nobody can be at work 24 hours a day. We have a 40-hour work week for a reason. It was fought for a reason. people need that time. They need that time to reconnect with their families. So if you're an employee, communicate with your boss that, you know, I need my evenings to be with my family. You know, this is my family time. I'm off work. And one of the ways to really communicate that, you know, even is to just not answer emails outside of work hours. Outlook has a great tool to do that. You can delay delivery on your emails to a time that you choose. Gmail also does that. Texts, I turn off texts on my business line. My business line is shut down when I'm off from work. At 5 o'clock, the phone's shut off. So if you call after 5, you get voicemail. If you call before 9, you get voicemail. Now, after 9 and before 5, we answer the phone. And you know, if you call in the evening and you leave a message that's for us and not for the IRS, then when we come into the office in the morning, we check the voicemails and we return phone calls, just like we would in an office. I look at it as we had these habits in the office, not because we needed to be in the office per se. Obviously we don't. We're all working from home now, and for the most part, it seems to be working well. At least it's working well for me, and I've done it for 15 years, 20 years. But we do have these rituals. Okay? So add those rituals back in. If you've always had a morning cup of coffee at your desk, have a morning cup of coffee at your desk. If you take smoke breaks at work, take smoke breaks at home. I recommend, by the way, the Pomodoro timer for this, especially on days when I'm struggling a little bit on focus. It runs for 25 minutes, and you can just Google Pomodoro timer, P-O-M-O-R-D-O. It's the Italian word for tomato. And the reason it's the Italian word for tomato is that we used to have these kitchen timers way back when that were shaped like a tomato, and you would twist it to give you time. But now it's kind of a technique. So you run a timer for 20 to 25 minutes, and you focus on what you're doing. And when someone pings your email, by the way, I turn off my email notifications and only check those at specific times of the day. It's on my calendar when I answer email. It's never first thing in the morning, by the way. It is at noon and 5. It's when I answer my emails. Because I don't want to be reacting to them all morning. So for 25 minutes, turn off your notifications and focus on the task at hand. Turn off your phone if you have to, and focus on the task at hand. I have found it's kind of like meditation, where I will start to go, oh, I have to do this other thing. And I actually have a notebook, a physical paper notebook, where I will write down the other things that I think that I need to do. And I will actually date that and kind of be able to come back to it. So if someone calls in, by the way, I have notes in a physical notebook, and I have notes that I also put into our system. So for 25 minutes, I want to focus on whatever it is that I had decided that I wanted to focus on for 25 minutes. If I'm interrupted, it gets written down. If I start thinking about, oh, I got to do this other thing, it gets written down. It's kind of like meditation, where you kind of bring your thoughts back to the breath. I do the same thing. I have to write it down and come back to what I was working on. Write it down and come back, because I'm telling my brain then it's important. I'm going to write it down so I can remember it later, and then come back to center. And it works really, really well. And then before I know it, it's the end of the day. I've gotten a ton of work done. And as a bonus, my 5-minute, in between the 25-minute work sessions, the alarm goes off after 25 minutes. I take 5 minutes and get out of my office. Because I work from home, many, many times, those 5 minutes is how fast can I move the laundry through? How fast can I clean up a room? How fast can I straighten up the kitchen? How fast can I load the dishwasher? So usually by 5 o'clock, I have a clean house, except for vacuuming, because I can't do that because he works in sales. And so he's on the phone. Any grocery shopping that needs to be done. The house will end up getting cleaned. I will feel more accomplished. The breaks kind of give my brain a chance to kind of relax so that I can do if I am really, really dialed into what I'm doing and my end time goes off, I will ignore it. But a lot of times I just need that, okay, I'm just fried. I need the 5 minutes. I need to jump up. I need to do something else for a few minutes. And so then I have extra steps on my smartwatch. I have my house cleaned, and I feel like I've gotten a lot more done because I promised myself that just for 25 minutes, I can focus on anything for 25 minutes. I can work on this one tax return for 25 minutes, and a lot of times if I work on it for 25 minutes, it'll be done. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore. So those are my techniques for working at home. Have a dedicated space of some kind and some sort of ritual where you dedicate the space to work. Be very communicative with your kids, your boss, your spouse about what boundaries you need, and enforce them. That's where the, schedule your emails to go out when you would be in the office anyway. Schedule your text to go out, or make a note to send a text. Send a text to the boss at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning about this, because that reinforces this idea of I'm not available at 2 in the morning, period. If you allow others to run over you, you won't ever get anything done, and you'll end up burnt out and hating your job. And none of us wants that, I hope. And like I said, be very communicative with your boss. As a boss, I try to design flexibility into my positions so that when a bookkeeper or an assistant calls and says, I have appointments today, I have appointments coming up this week, I can say, yeah, it's fine. It's no big deal. Just make sure you get everything else done. Donna, I want to take a 2-week vacation. Awesome. Would you please make sure this is done before you go? Take a day off before your vacation. Before you leave, take a day. After you leave, we'll put it on the calendar. That can be your catch-up day. Let's start communicating. Because if I know what's going on, I am so easy to work with. It's when I never quite know what's going on. That's why people feel a lot of anxiety, by the way. We don't know what's going on. We entered this thing a year ago thinking 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I didn't realize they meant 52 weeks. And nobody did. Nobody did. I won't go into my beliefs on that, but it's hard to, it's uncertainty that makes us anxious. And it is the constant uncertainty of, that is making a lot of people anxious, the sense that it's never going to get back to normal. We're never going to be able to socialize. We're social creatures. We have to socialize. So don't want to get into that. I tend to get ranty. So that's it. Dedicate your workspace as a dedicated space. Have some sort of ritual that this is my workspace and this is I'm working now. Get dressed. Get dressed. If you're working in your pajamas, you're telling yourself this isn't important. I can Netflix and chill if I want. Get up, get dressed. Do all of your grooming habits, whatever your routines and rituals are in the morning. Possibly take a walk to start your day and to end your day, to create a commute, which is good for you anyway. And then take frequent breaks. Have some sort of dedicated workspace, even if it is the recliner, okay? Even if it has to be the dining room table, this is what you do to, okay, I'm starting my work day, I'm setting up my laptop, I'm getting my special chair, I'm getting my special mug of coffee, whatever it is. But create some sort of ritual that tells your brain, I'm working now. And it will make a big difference. It really will. I used to work in a corner of my dining room. I haven't always had the luxury of having a room that is my office. A lot of people don't have that luxury. But I had a ritual of I'm sitting down, I'm opening my computer, these are the things I do to start my day. These are the things I do to end my day. And when my day is ended, I don't think about things again until the next morning. And when you do those things, you're creating ritual in your mind, and it makes it so much easier to focus on the work that you need to do instead of being reactive and instead of being pressured, instead of feeling burnt out. The biggest thing is take charge. Take charge of your day in whatever ways you can. Not everybody can, but in whatever ways you can. But this is the project I'm working on. This is my dedicated time for making phone calls. As far as you are able, take charge of your day. And I think that will pay off massive dividends later on. That is it for today. Tomorrow I will talk more about accounting, and tax season is getting underway. So these videos are going to start getting a lot shorter because I'm running out of time. Deadline for taxes. If you have a partnership of any kind where you have to file a K-1, it has to be filed at the IRS by March 15th. The reason for that is that your partners need to receive their K-1 filings, their K-1 forms, in order to file their taxes on April 15th. So this is a really, really busy season for us. Which is why I'm saying, if it's not on my calendar, it's probably not happening. Lots moving with payroll protection. I will go into that in tomorrow's video. So have a great day. Take charge. Let me know how that works for you. Again, your mileage may vary. There have been times when I haven't been able to do some of the things that I'm recommending. There have been times when I've absolutely had to do what I'm recommending. And by the way, it's almost impossible to work effectively in a hospital if you are with a family member. I have discovered, unless it's a longer term stay, and we are looking forward to that. There's just certain places where I have found I just can't work. Either the stress gets to me, or certainly in some places the Wi-Fi connection is just horrible. So find out where you can work. Not everyone can go to a hotel room. Not everyone has a dedicated work office room. Your dedicated workspace may be a card table in the corner of your living room, but make the most of what you have and give yourself the mindset of, I'm going to treat it as if I'm going to the office, and that will pay off in massive, massive dividends. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.